Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. GMAK, the Boiler Men, coming at you from the, what do we call this, man? This is the laboratory, you know, the YouTube laboratory. That's what I like to call it. And we're mashing up some videos for you. We appreciate you guys, man, immensely. It means the world to us. We see the subscriber numbers going up, the likes going up, even the comments are going up. So it's really appreciated. We take a lot of time out of our day to bring you some of this content. And I noticed that I talked a lot about, you know, specific things in the industry out in the field, but I'm going to continue to do that. But I also started to shift a little bit also for giving the perspective of some of the things that are behind the closed doors and some of the mental stuff that we go through. Because I think these are all things that are super important to mention when it comes to being a boiler tech or really a tech in general. But, you know, this channel is really geared more towards plumbing and heating and technical stuff. So I'm going to try to, gear the videos towards that, but you're going to get a bigger picture of what's going on. If you're new to the channel, man, we appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the channel, man. It's very simple. Click that button. While you're at it, smash that like button. Really helps the algorithm. We're going to push these videos up. We've been putting a lot of time and effort into bringing you great, top-notch content, and we appreciate you guys being here. On this episode, I have talked in the past about safeties, boiler safeties, this, that. But what I really haven't gotten into, and I need to discuss this, and this is really based on a very recent situation that my company found ourselves in, and having really nothing to do with us, but we found ourselves somehow involved, and it just speaks to what I'm about to talk about. So I really want to get into the safety conversation and how you're approaching the job when you go there, how you're approaching the job when you leave there. Because just as much as it's important for you to be safe and knowledgeable walking in the door, you also need to leave understanding that safety is paramount, and we must always leave the job operating within the confines of what it should be. Now, that doesn't mean that things aren't going to lock out and things aren't going to shut off and things aren't going to happen. But there are those times that you leave a job and you just never know what's going to follow when you're done with the job. What's going to happen? There are a lot of variables in these boilers, and for us in the city, we're dealing with a lot of dual fuel. So we have fuel oil and we have natural gas. When you have multiple fuels that you're dealing with, it's super, super important to make sure that your stuff is set up, not only combustion wise, but also on the wiring, right? Because for us, there's a lot of cross wiring. Now, on a lot of the burners, we have what's called, like on an IC as an example, they use what's called an 8-pole contactor. An 8-pole contactor has a bunch of normally open and normally closed contacts. Now, what's the purpose? Well, when it's in one position, in the normally open electrical circuit position, it could be one fuel, and when it's in the closed position, it switches to the other fuel. So when oil is operating, all the oil components, the compressor air if needed, the oil valves, anything related to the oil side of the combustion is going to be getting power, and the gas shuts off, and vice versa, right? When you switch it over to the gas side, all the oil elements drop out, and then everything gas related is on. But there have been these times, whether it be through some negligent wiring or some sort of short circuit, gas and oil fire off at the same time, and this could be catastrophic. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened on this job that I'm talking about, but I'm just bringing to the conversation the importance of having this discussion about being safe and understanding what it is you're working on, looking at the flame, understanding the context of what you're looking at, combustion analyzing fires, especially when you're not 100% sure, especially when you've never been to the building before. There are so many elements in our business, and one of the things that people don't take into account sometimes, and I have many times over, and I try to teach my team the same thing, is when you really think about it, you could have a building with 150 apartments, could be 500 people living in it, right? Just law of averages. Essentially, what you have in the basement is a big flame. There's a flame going at all times in the building inside of this tremendous vessel. And I don't know if the concept kind of escapes people at times, or you're just not thinking about it, or sometimes what really happens is guys start taking for granted. And I've seen it happen with my own eyes. I even at once or twice had taken it for granted, just because you get into, it's like anything else in life. The more you do it, it just becomes second nature, and that's fantastic. Like, all I want to see is guys progress, get better, and grow their knowledge base. And so when you walk in there and you walk in with a confidence, all amazing stuff, all super important to your growth, no doubt about it. But I think as time evolves, you take it so much for granted that you almost stop looking at the simple things. But it's the simple things that are going to put you in such a tight spot. Not checking combustion, or not testing low order cutoffs, or not making sure that everything is working at a safe way is really negligent on the part of the technicians. And again, this isn't about my team. There was some other company, they put in equipment. I'm not here to name names, that's not what's important. But somehow, I ended up getting the call and I walked into a disaster, and it's like who's responsible, who does what, who should take control of the situation. But for me, it was a 10-degree morning, and it's like my heart goes out to people living in the building. So and I think the super at the time was having a hard time getting the other company on the phone. There was a lot of mix-ups, but the point is, at the end of the day, my heart went out to people living in the building. So I say, you know what, I got to jump in and do what I can to help them out. It's freezing cold. It's not like this is a 60-degree day and we could kind of like wait and yeah, you would be without hot water, but you wouldn't be freezing in your apartment. So I just jump into action because that's just who I am and that's who I've always been. But unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's also a lot of politics. It's not like politics the way you would think. It's just like a certain company, whatever, you don't mix and match and all that. But again, my heart went to super and called me, and we're having a back and forth conversation. It's like, well, I sent it to them, and I think they put the boiler in only like a couple of months ago. It's not that old, so it's all the wiring's new. Everything is new, brand new. Burner's new, the boiler's new, everything's new, and I didn't have any part in that. So I got kind of called in on second hand, and it really had my mind thinking, and this was yesterday morning. So as I sat there, I started to think to myself, and I always think this, but it's like when things like this, it's like anything else in life, right? Like, it's almost like when somebody passes away, and it's as unfortunate as death is and final as death is, it always is a reminder to us when you're dealing with it, right? So whether it be a family member or a friend or something like that, it's always a reminder to live your life, or you start thinking about things in a more thorough way. And when this situation happened, it kind of brought back to the forefront the importance of this topic of safety and being smart and understanding the system and understanding the wiring and understanding that sometimes, even if you don't know how it was wired or how it was done, you have to take a few minutes to go through everything and make sure everything is safe. Now, obviously, on top of everything else, yesterday when I went there, I went through all the wiring thoroughly. It took me about 2 hours to thoroughly go through how the job was wired, where everything was, make sure there was no safeties jumped out, because you guys know how much I love jumped out safeties. I've probably talked about that on here a handful of times. I haven't talked about it in a video. Maybe that's a good video too. But I want to make sure, right? You got to go through everything. Now, there were some things that I felt were a little bit off, but in the midst of repairing what needed to be repaired to make it safe and operational again, the company that installed the job showed up while we were working, got a little upset that we were there. Okay, I understand, but I don't at the same time. And then they took charge, which honestly made me feel better, because at the end of the day, when there's a combustion issue, if I'm not the one doing it, why am I taking responsibility for it? So I allowed them to take responsibility for that aspect of it. But we got everything else back up and situated, so this way when they fired it would work safely. But it is super important. I cannot implore to you more how important it is to dial in your safety. And I don't care if it takes you an extra 5 or 10 minutes. Flushing, making sure your low water cutoffs are shutting the boiler off, making sure your water gauge glass is accurate, right? Because on a gauge glass, sometimes that bottom valve can be clogged and it's showing you a water level, but it's actually not a true water level because the water column could be clogged. So again, little measures that you can take that only take you a few minutes. You're just running, right? So like you're in this mentality of move. And that's fine. Like I can appreciate that. Sometimes you have a lot of jobs and we got to keep it moving. But for my more seasoned guys, I'm okay with them moving a little quicker because it's part of their repertoire to drop the low water cutoff. It's part of their repertoire to check everything around the boiler room. But when you're new, you're fresh, or you're kind of green, this is like, I was taught to me a long time ago, and I didn't understand it at the time, but now as a business owner, I totally understand it. Is just taking those few minutes, sit with the equipment, test everything, just make sure everything's working properly, take a look at your fire, run a combustion analysis real quick, just to make sure you don't have COs and the numbers on weird and everything is operating the way that it's supposed to, because this way when you go home at night, you're going to sleep well and you're going to go home to your family. I'm thankful to this point that certain things haven't happened, but I've also experienced things that have happened, and it's scary and people can get hurt. and it's a wild time out there. Now, it's a great business, and I love it. I'm going to keep preaching about it. I'm going to keep telling you guys about systems and stuff, but I really felt it important to come on here and talk to you guys about Please take a few minutes. Do not chintz on being smart and being safe. I cannot say this with any more emphasis than that. It is super important. It's something that I think is sometimes overlooked. Obviously not always, but we preach it, man. Safety. I just had a meeting with the guys before this last snowstorm in New York City. I don't care what you do. Safety, 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 safety. Look around. Leaks, anything like that, please report it back to the office. This way we know that everything's on the up and up and we're working within the confines of safety and making sure that we all get to go home at night and I don't have to lose sleep thinking about the job that we're not 100% sure about. So I hope you guys got something from this, man. You know, another kind of quick episode. I talk about everything, man. It's super important because all these things are integral to our business, right? It isn't just about how a steam system works and how hydronics work, even though those videos are great and I love shooting them for you. Safety, the mental side, all these things that I'm starting to come out with, I think are also super important. I'm going to keep talking about them. So if you watched this far and you haven't already, please, man, subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. While you're at it, smash the like button. Help that algorithm. We really do appreciate it. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, anything of that nature, please drop it down below, man. We answer all that. Honestly, it's me. I'm answering all your comments directly. I'd love to get the conversation going. I'd love to hear what you think on this topic and on any other topic, on any other video that we've done. I've been critiqued by people. Fine, that's what it's all about. I never claim to come on here and be some kind of, you know, savant. Like, I know what I know, and that's what I talk about, and I always talk about my own experiences. I'm not sitting here with a phone. As I'm sitting here, my phone is here, but it's not on. I'm not looking at anything. I'm just talking to you guys. I'm giving you my experiences. I'm explaining it to you as I've dealt with it, because I think it's super important to talk about, and I want to make sure that I'm voicing these things to you. So, appreciate you guys being here, though. Keep watching, keep tuning in. We appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day. Keep kicking like. Have a good one. Peace.